And I'd like to propose that maybe it has something to do with the greatest commandment, right? Where somebody asked Jesus, what's the greatest commandment to follow? And Jesus says, love God and love your neighbor as yourself, right? Now, I grew up Protestant. We did a really good job about talking about how to love God, and we did a really good job about talking about how to love our neighbor, but we never really covered that last segment of it where it says, as you love yourself. And maybe because we just thought it was arrogant or a bit narcissistic, and who likes those people who are filled, with so much like self-love and are always talking about themselves. But I actually think that it's really, really important. Because you can't really love God if you secretly hate who he made you the entire time. And you can't really love your neighbor if you have the same rules and judgment on yourself as you're secretly and unintentionally putting on them, right? We can only really exist and have a faith in God when we go, thank you for making me. Thank you for my life. Thank you for creating me. And when we receive that love from the originator, we reciprocate it. That's all we're asked to do. We're just to take what we've been given and then put it out. And you might be like, Scott, how are we starting an arts conference and you're talking about loving ourselves? It doesn't really make sense to me. I just want to say this, is that all of us are going to find ourselves, as we're in our calling, that it's not going to work out. That we're not going to always get paid for what we do. We're not always going to really get acknowledged by what we do, even in our own faith communities. But I want to know if you're going to hold to your calling and why you're going to hold to that. And I think it has something to do with the greatest commandment again, which is this. When we're looking at the world and we're looking at all that's going on, where should we go? What should we do? I mean, there's a refugee crisis and a hunger crisis and a water crisis and a politics crisis and an education crisis. Where do I go? Should I be a part of that? Should I be a part of this occupation? How do I even know where to start and what I should do? I think we start with the greatest commandment. What does it look like for you to love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength in the world, and to love your neighbor as yourself in the world? And if you ask that question to yourself, I think that's the person that God is calling out. See, because I think a calling is never given to us as a way to go, this is going to be your occupation. I think a calling is given to us to reveal who we really are in the world, our true self, the self that we work from that goes, I'm loved and I'm able to give love in this way because this is who I know I am. Because our calling isn't really about what we're doing, it's about how we do it. To work from a false self is to go, my calling, I'm trying to work to earn identity. And if shame is that. Shame is going, I'm working to find identity, and love is I'm working from identity. And when I know my identity, and I know I'm loved and I've done the work, it's not that it's easy, right? I'm pretty sure we all have a pretty healthy dose of self-loathing that we have to work out. But this is our practice. I would say that this is the practice that most influences how I am an artist now, is sitting and listening and receiving and then going, how do I take that into the world?